As we have completed all the 4 models, so now we need to assemble them in an order. So first take this particular part and then assemble, and then this part and this part and then this screws. So going to assembly, take a new assembly, design and shaft support assembly and say OK. And now here we can have retrieve components. Select this and select the component, first component, and just say default as a constraint for the first one and say done. So default, it sits at this particular location. And now call the second component, which is, see the preview, and call the second component. This is our second component, need to be assembled at this particular location. So this particular this surface has to meet this particular surface. So select this surface and this surface and say mate, and going with placement, new constraint, and just select this surface and this surface and it gets inserted, and go with the new constraint, this surface and this cylindrical surface, and it gets inserted into that. Status is fully constrained, so say done. So this model is assembled. And now call the third component, this one, it is the screw. Screw needs to be assembled over here, so go with insert, select this cylindrical surface and select this surface and the bottom surface of the head of the pin to meet with each other, mate coincident. So it gets coincided at that particular location. So now placement is showing as fully constrained and say done. In the same manner, so this component can be repeated at this particular location. So select this component, go with edit, repeat, and select insert and mate and say add. So first we need to select the insert surface, so this surface, and it has to meet this particular surface, and the component will be placed automatically, and say confirm, so that will be added into this. And now call the other component by retrieving this particular component and say part 3, and go, this has to be inserted at this particular location. So select this cylindrical surface and this cylindrical surface, and it gets inserted, and this bottom surface of this has to mate this internal surface. So go with new constraint and say pick this surface of the assembly and pick this surface of the component and go with coincident, so that it gets coincided at that particular location, and say done. So that particular component is meeting with each other. So this way the components has to be assembled. Just save this particular assembly into the same directory where the parts are created. So this finishes our assembly.